How often do you get a second opinion when it comes to your health?
Well, new research shows millions of Americans are misdiagnosed every year.
Megan Gillen has more on what you can do to avoid becoming a statistic.
It was July of 2013.
We decided we weren't going to cry.
Tamara Brooks of Windsor Mill watched her son James be loaded into an ambulance. James was diagnosed with kidney disease and began receiving dialysis several times a week.
We were devastated.
But when things seemed their darkest, a mother's love shined through. In March of 2014, after almost a year on dialysis,
And I found out that I was a match, almost a perfect match. It was just a blessing.
Tamara donated a kidney and saved her son's life. Not long after, though, she says she learned it all could have been avoided.
His nephrologist, and she told us that he'd been sick for a long time and that it could have been prevented or at least slowed down. And I was angry. I was very angry. He's going to need another transplant. He may not be able to work. You need to have money in the bank for him. So that's when, I decided to call David.
Attorney David Ellin filed suit against James's pediatrician and his urologist.
There's indicators in that flag category that were screaming out that there is a problem with this lab report. You need to do something. And the doctor simply did not follow up. Why is an absolute mystery.
The lawsuit is seeking a payout well into the seven figures. James's pediatrician and urologist both filed legal responses denying the allegations. Attorneys for the doctors say the lawsuit is past the statute of limitations and the plaintiff is partly responsible for what happened. It's expected to go to court next January. Each year in the United States, approximately 12 million adults seeking outpatient medical care are misdiagnosed. That's according to a new study published in the journal BMJ Quality and Safety. That means, the journal says, 1 out of every 20 outpatient visits are misdiagnosed. And in half of the cases, researchers say the misdiagnosis has the potential to result in severe harm.
So the question many of you might be asking, what can you do to make sure that this doesn't happen to you? We're going to sit down with a doctor and find out right now.
Dr. Stuart Levine is the Vice President of Medical Affairs at MedStar Harbor Hospital. He has no insight and no knowledge of the case we just told you about heading into litigation. However, he says the new statistics out are important to talk about.
We take this very seriously, and as physicians, we want the number to be 0. That's our goal. But we understand that medicine is complicated, that symptoms can sometimes overlap.
But rather than feel scared or feel nervous about what kind of care you're receiving, he says patients should feel a sense of ownership.
I think that they should feel empowered. They should say, hey, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to come to the doctor with notes. It's okay to be proactive in my health. And what they should know is that their doctors are expecting that of them and appreciate that.
Sometimes, if needed, he says second opinions can be useful.
What's critical, though, in that second opinion is the communication and the handoff of information between the initial treating physician and the physician providing the second opinion, because things can get lost in translation.
Basically, it comes down to good communication between the doctors and you asking questions.
When are we going to speak again? What is our plan for communication? And what are we going to do with those tests? Am I going to expect a follow-up phone call or an interaction through an electronic means, such as a patient portal?
The more educated you become as a patient and the more you share with your physician, the better your chances at a correct diagnosis. As for Tamara Brooks and her son James, she wishes things would have been different for her family, but there's still hope.
For him to feel as normal as possible, for him to grow up and have a wife and a family and a job, that's all I want.
Megan Gillen, Fox 45 News.